All right, we'll try to do this in a sane way. I think right now we have, everyone wants to use pixels. So HDMI is here, and we're going to go as smoothly as we can. We have about an hour. We have 8 plus a goodbye from Jason. So you're going to get 5 minutes each, plus, maybe come be on deck when the 5 minutes is up so that we can jack in quickly, and we'll do what we can. So we're going to do some lightning talks, and first is John Constable, next is Jess Spreet. If you're not sure, just come closer to the front. When it's about your turn, we'll call you up. Then Tony, and then John will talk again, but with no pixels. It'll just be jokes. And then Tony, and then Dan, and then Corey, and then we're going to let Boyd go last before the happy hour and Jason's closing remarks. Are you ready? Not quite. If you're going to be typing, you're going to need a microphone. I could stand here and look silly and hold it for you, or you could try and put this on. That will cut into our 5 minutes each, but we'll do what we can. What? No, you're not turned on.
This is having question number 1, turn it off back on again. Okay, everybody hear me? Right.
Are you synced? You got...
Let's move this over.
Right. Please introduce yourself, and that way we'll see how this works. If I'm not, I don't know how this is going to work. Ready? Hello, YouTube. Go.
Okay, so hello everybody. You may have seen me from previous programs. I'm going to just give a quick overview of how we do iRODS monitoring, mostly in terms of dashboards and things. So we have kind of 2 problems. One of the problems is, thank you, yes, we totally got 5 minutes, yeah, okay. Talk faster. One of the problems is that we need to know how much capacity we have in our individual zones, and the people who own the data in those zones need to know how much capacity they've got so that they can raise funds to buy more of them, because at mumble per server, when they're buying a petabyte, they need to spend some money. Always comes as a shock, but nonetheless. So what we have come up with is some scripts which get the data out of iRODS, because we have the data for how much is used and how much is available in all the resources, and then we put them up in assorted different dashboards. We are not graphical design experts, you may see this. So what we're seeing here, hopefully, yep, good, is one of our zones. This is a moderately sized zone, probably our second largest. So if you remember before, we had 2 trees. One tree is called green, the other tree is called red. This used to be the 2 data center halls they were in, and now red means that one data center and green means that the other, because naming is hard. So we love to hate these time to fall things, because they're basically a linear regression, which is almost always wrong. But nonetheless, when you add space in or you take space out, it can change quite radically, and it can scare people who really rely on this kind of data. But the figure we check people to focus on is how much space do you have available, and is that enough, and how much are you using, and that kind of thing. So the scripts we've got allow us to graph, right keyboard, things like for the on-site, off-site, available resources, closed resources, that kind of thing. And this allows us to do, as well as estimation, gives you an idea of kind of, okay, so within red, how many actual resource file systems have we got? How many in green, and so forth. This is revealed an interesting issue about the way we do resource reservations, which is that we close a resource using the context I mentioned in the last talk by saying when it gets to 5% full, it's full enough, don't put any more space in there. But until that point, I would think it's got that 5% to write to. So all of a sudden, when that resource gets closed, we lose a chunk of space. And this is only really noticeable when we start getting down to the tens of terabytes left, and all of a sudden, we drop precipitously each time, which can be quite scary. So I've got the 30 days. We've got a nice little graph in here. So we can see, as we fill resources up here, for example, this went from some to less, and I don't think that number's quite right. But nonetheless, you get kind of an idea of the kind of resource monitoring we do. So this is now easily done with the audit plugin. Do that instead, don't do what we did. But nonetheless, what we can see with these, and I might have a better one actually. I have not much time to prepare for this. That's not wildly helpful. Okay, go back to iRODS. That's if I can spell. In our federation, we have the Sanger 1 zone, which is the landing zone for everybody to come into, and that's purely an administrative area to pass people off to other things. That has Kerberos authentication. All the other zones don't, so people can come in via that. And you can, what this is really useful for is seeing when people kick things off on the compute cluster and all of a sudden go from 1 I get to 50 or 100 or what have you. And you can go here and see who exactly is running what applications and how many and on which zone. And how often have they been doing things? You see here somebody is using HDSlib, which is a iRODS aware library that allows you to directly talk to a CRAN file within iRODS and get a chunk of it, in theory, if you hold it right. People do not always hold it right. And you can see the other zones we've got here with similar kinds of things, which, as you can see, are used much less, with the exception of the CGP zone, where they manage their own replication. And that's a quick overview. So, please ask your questions later.